everyone, it's Robert Fischer with the RJF team with Keller Realty, and today we're going to talk about how to win in multiple offers. And if you are in the Central Texas market, if you're in the Austin, Round Rock, or surrounding areas market, there's a good chance you're dealing with multiple offers. And obviously we know that's a great thing for sellers when you're on the sell side, and then it can be challenging on the buy side. However, there are solutions on both the sell side to make sure that you net the most amount of money, and then the buy side to make sure that you can get your dream home and move in and take advantage of amazingly low interest rates. And so I just want to walk you through this. I have a ton of notes and I have the top 10 points that I want us to know, but I want to kind of talk about a couple things ahead of time before we start. So our market again is crazy, and we'll talk you through on how to win in multiple offers. Having someone on your side, before I get into this, really having someone on your side that does this every single day, and this is their specialty and they know how to work with multiple offers, is key. On the selling side, why that's so important is I've seen people walk away from $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 because they're like, oh, I can just sell it, and they were worried that it might sell or not even getting anywhere near what they think. And knowing how not just how to get offers, but how to get offers and negotiate, making sure that the seller's netting the most amount of money, like that is a high skill for a real estate agent, and that's what's going to help benefit the seller the most. On the buyer side, you can imagine some of these buyers are going through home after home after home and not getting it, and that may happen, but there are strategies that you can go through to make sure that you're doing the best that you can to get and win these multiple offers on the buyer side. And having someone where that's their full-time job and this is what they do is huge. And so I hope you can see that, and we'll go through on this as well. Also know it's different in every area. So this neighborhood over here might bring 20 to 30 offers on this one house, and this one might only bring 1 or 2. And how we position and we strategize around each of them will be different. And so just know this is general, and we'll go through the generalities of all this. But you really want to break it down per neighborhood. Also, 2 perspectives I wanted to bring. We had an out-of-town buyer that came in. It was very funny. He's like, all this multiple offers and this kind of stuff and having to go, tens of thousands of dollars over list price. Like, I'm used to this. This is what our market does. And when the market's really hot, this is what's going on. And we're actually kind of putting our money on what the future value will be, right? And that was his saying, and that's what he was looking at. And he also said that he was locking in an interest rate in most of his costs minus property taxes, right? And so that's why they felt a little bit more secure doing this, and it was a little bit more normal in their area. Now, obviously, no one has a crystal ball, but I will say it's very interesting. We heard a local economist also say that we are now the 10th largest city in the nation. And when you look at the other 9 largest cities, we're actually the lowest price by far. And they're trying to compare us. And if all of these companies that are moving here, if we're moving in that direction, then our real estate is super cheap in many areas. Now that doesn't, for locals, that's very hard because we're seeing something that we haven't seen before. Did you know, so 2020, record year on so many different levels for real estate. Did you know there's a difference in what was selling in October and what was selling in December of 2020, now going into January of 2021? Month by month, the market is changing. And so you need to know that, because what was happening in October and then what changed as we went into December, it went from hot to on fire, again, in certain neighborhoods. And you started to see these strategies that were working here were not working here. And we have a lot of that micro data that we're able to kind of get and analyze and realize how to help you kind of navigate all through this as well. And so just know it is changing by the day, it's changing by the month, and it's our job to watch that for you and make sure you have every strategy at your disposal so you have the best chances of either selling for the most or getting your dream home. One other perspective is we listed a home 2 weeks ago, and we went through the weekend, and this home, it was a starter home, very nice home. We had 80 showings over the weekend, 80. And had 20 to 30 offers, and they were coming in all over the place. And the verbiage that we were saying to them and just making sure that we were kind of creating the best environment, the most fair environment for everyone, but yet making sure that the seller got the most amount of money on the sell side was huge. And it took a strategy and it took a team to make sure that we could make that happen. And then on the buyer side, for them, in order to win it, they really had to come in aggressive and do some of these strategies. So these 10 strategies that I'm going to talk you through real quick, these are strategies that we've seen. You don't have to do all these. Some people are doing some of them, some people are doing none of them, some people are doing all of them. And we will be able to help you see the pros and cons of all these as we go through them. So just know that. But they will increase your odds. So number one, of course, I put price on there first. So, most of the time, the number one factor for the seller is the price. And in some areas, we've seen some just the other day that if these buyers want this house, they're going to need to go $80,000 over list price. And that's sometimes on that home, I think that was like a 12% increase over list price. I've seen 5%, 10%, it's just all over. I've seen places over here that you didn't have to go above list price, and actually you could even get a deal over here. So just know that's the case. The hot neighborhoods, either in the hot areas next to the new employers, next to really good schools and those kind of things, those are really hot right now. Another thing about our market, someone came out to us the other day and they said, hey, tell me about Round Rock. And they wanted to know about inventory. So there are a lot of homes selling, but they're selling fast, so hear that. But there used to be 300 to 400 homes on the market at any time that, just kind of when the market was kind of flat, and that buyers could choose from that were still available, active on the market. I ran the numbers the other day, and this changes by the minute, but there were 30 homes in Round Rock the other day that were active, that were not pending or under contract. And so you can see that it's a tenth of what's on there. Now, what's really interesting about the 2020 numbers is more units sold in 2020, even though there was a lack of inventory. So that tells us a couple things. But what that does say is there's a lack of inventory, but just the homes that are coming on the market, they're flying off the market. So it's out there. If you have a team that's behind you, can really help you on the buy side, you will get a home. And so just be encouraged. Like, multiple offers can be scary if you're not used to it. Maybe this is a new normal for our area. We will see. We don't know. But what we will say is we'll help coach you through it and make sure that you have the best odds of getting your home. Number two, financed or cash. So when the buyer comes in and they're buying this listing, are they a finance buyer or are they a cash buyer? 90% of the time, 99% of the time, the seller prefers having a cash buyer. So cash means that they just have the cash in hand. They don't need an appraisal generally, and they're going to move forward, and there's less headaches, and there's no contingency on whether they're going to be approved or whether they're going to lose their job or any of that kind of stuff. And so generally, sellers will give that cash buyer a little bit more of a premium. What's interesting in our market, though, is at this current time, these are my ballpark numbers, and so just as I'm seeing the offers that are come through on our latest listings, I would say 80% of the offers coming in are still financed. And so finance still has a big option, and 20% of them are cash. And so they're going to look at that. The other things that the seller will look at is, I want to know who the lender is, which we'll talk about in a sec. I want to know how much they're putting down. Are they doing any waivers on the appraisal? Here's another thing that's very new, and our team is on the forefront of this. And so we have actually found a way to partner with local investors and institutions to where our buyers that are finance buyers can actually become cash buyers. And then they can come in later and finance the way that they normally would. It's magical. It's amazing. It's a win for the buyer, because now they may not have to bid as much for a house as they go there, and they're also perceived as super strong. They're cash, they can close in 14 days, and they have flexibility on everything. And so it's one of those things that we can offer here at the RJF team. If you know of anyone that just wants to even just see what the details are, let us know on that side. We have also found ways to help people buy before they sell. And so meaning that they need to sell their home first, but we got options for them. And I'll talk about that more in just a sec as well. The second one, I guess I'm talking about now, or number three, is contingent or non-contingent. So it's very interesting to watch this. Contingent means that I will buy your home as soon as I sell my house, right? And so now it's contingent upon my financing, and now it's contingent upon my home selling. That's a higher risk to the seller, and it's rare that that happens. However, we just got one 3 weeks ago accepted for one of our buyers that was a contingent buyer, so it can happen. Like I just mentioned, though, just how we can turn our finance buyers into cash buyers, we can actually help our buyers buy before they sell. So they would normally be contingent, but we've hooked them up with our connections, and so they can actually buy their next home and they can either move into it and then they'll sell their home once they're out of it, so they kind of have the stress off of them, or they can sell it simultaneously, but it just gives them options. And there is a fee that kind of goes along with that if the buyer wants to do it generally, so we will talk you through what that looks like. But if you know of anyone where they feel like, I can't move forward because this is my dilemma, have them talk to us. We can turn them into cash buyers. We can have them buy before they sell. We're always trying to stay on the cutting edge of what's out there. Number 4, who your lender is does matter. And, you know, are they good? Do they have a good reputation? And by the way, every listing agent and every seller is going to probably look at this differently. So I'm just going to lay it all out there for you. Are they local? Good reputation. Do they have a national appraisal management company? Do they have a local appraisal management company, which is called an AMC? Are they pre-approving buyers? Are they pre-qualifying buyers? How far are they going in the process? Is your lender willing to give their cell phone information? Is your lender willing to call the listing agent on the home you made an offer on in and say, please let John buy this house. He's amazing, has amazing credit, amazing income, da-da-da-da. He probably wouldn't say that, but you know what I'm saying. Like, he will make the phone call, or she will make the phone call on that side. So who the lender is matters. And if you have any questions on who that is and the lender that you're using, we love working with them, and we'll help walk them through the same exact process. So just know we can do that as well. And then, of course, we have some amazing lenders that if you want to try some of them also. Number 5, appraisal waivers. So appraisal waivers in our area are pretty new. They even came out with a new addendum, a promulgated form that you can use. And it's amazing for the sellers. They love to see these appraisal waivers, and there's big risk for the buyers. And so let me explain what their appraisal waiver is. Let's say the buyer is coming in and they're buying a house for $400,000. Home is listed for $400,000. The buyer really wants it. There's 20 offers on the house, and the buyer says, you know what, I'm willing to pay $440,000 for this house. And I'm going to do a full appraisal waiver. So there's a full appraisal waiver and there's a partial appraisal waiver. And by the way, this is just high level details. I will give you more details if we talk in person, but just high level details on this. Here's what the full appraisal waiver means. I'm going to pay you $440,000 for your house. If the home comes in and it only appraises for $380,000, I'm going to bring the extra $60,000 to the table, or whatever, you know, me and my lender can, you know, make happen with the midst of a short appraisal. But I mean, that puts all the risk on the buyer. So it is risky for the buyer, and they need to know, how much cash they have on hand to do that. And a partial appraisal waiver just says something that's right in the middle. I buy this $400,000 house for $440,000. The partial appraisal waiver says, hey, I'm coming in at $420,000, or I'm coming in at $440,000 for the offer, but it has to appraise for $420,000 or above. As it appraises for $420,000 or above, I'll eat all the difference. If it appraises for $410,000, me as the buyer, I can walk, I can renegotiate, and we can kind of go from there. So that's the big picture on appraisal waivers. I can tell you on that home that had the 80 showings and 20 to 30 offers, 80% of them had full appraisal waivers. And I'm just ballparking the numbers. 10% of them, 15% of them had partial appraisal waivers, and the others didn't have any waiver whatsoever. And so, and then there are ways that you can work your offer to give you time, that if you have a super aggressive lender that gets the appraisal during the option period and things are moving fast. And so just know there's options out there. You'll want to talk with your realtor, you want to talk with your lender on what it truly and fully means, because we do want everyone to know the risk, but you do need to know it's out there and what you're competing against. Number 6 is the option period and the option money. So option period in our area in Central Texas, you're buying the house as is. There's even a box that you're checking that says as is, or you can put something else in the other box. But generally, I would say 95% of the time, the buyer is going to ask for an inspection period. So they're going to ask for 3 to 7 days for them to hire an inspector. That inspector is going to come in and really just look for things that they couldn't see with the naked eye. And so they're going to look at the AC, they're going to look at the roof, they're going to look at the attic, they're going to look at the foundation, they're going to look at plumbing, they're going to look at windows. They're going to go through this, and the best they can just give a 28-page report on every property that they go into, right? And just for example. And so that's the time for the buyer. During that option period, you can back out for any reason. You can say that I just don't like this house anymore. I don't like this paint. I don't want it, whatever. But there's the option time that you have, and there's the option money associated with it, because you're buying that option to take that home off the market so no one can buy it from you. Generally what we've seen is, if you were to ask me a year ago or even 2 years ago, if you're buying this $400,000 house, you'd have about $400 in option money, give or take. So if the buyer backed out, seller keeps $400 no matter what. As the market has increased, we're seeing a lot of $400 option monies. We're seeing $800. We're seeing $1,000. I saw a couple $2,000 option money. Here's why the seller likes that. Right now, because it's multiple offers, I'm also finding, and not everybody knows this because buyer agents won't say it, but me as a listing agent, I will know that buyers are making multiple offers on multiple homes because it's so competitive, they want to see which one they can get. And so knowing that, if they're putting down a low amount of option money, I feel that means that they're not committed because they could go under contract on multiple homes. But if they're putting $800, $1,000 down, the seller just feels a little bit more secure because they're also spending another $500 to $1,000 on inspections probably as well. So they're really in the game a lot further, knowing that we really want them to have, that they really want to have that house. Does that make sense? So on the option period, just remember, the shorter the days for the seller, the better. And the higher the option fee, the better. Some people are waiving the option. That's a big risk for the buyer. It's a huge benefit to the seller, which means they're not going to go in and do an inspection. But sometimes you can't see everything. So on the buyer side, even if someone gets in there with a 3-day inspection and really shortens it so they can get in and really look at stuff, it probably lowers everybody's risk in the deal anyways. And so that's probably a good thing. But occasionally we'll get someone waiving the appraisal or waiving the option period. So just know that. Number 7, earnest money. So remember, there's earnest money and option money. So on a $400,000 house, you might have $400 option money, and you might have $4,000 earnest money, whether when you were looking at that from a year ago or 2 years ago. For the most part, that's still what I'm seeing, and then occasionally someone will throw in $6,000, $8,000, or even $10,000 earnest money. Earnest money, it would take me a little bit longer to explain, so I won't go through it all, but let's just make it really simple. If the buyer gets all the way until the day before closing and they back out, generally the earnest money would go to the seller. And so the bigger the amount of earnest money, the more that the seller feels secure. But most sellers would prefer more dollars in the option side, and then just average number in the earnest money side, just so you know. And again, other sellers look at it differently. So just there's the overall piece on that as well. Number 8, there are many fees that the buyer or the seller could pay also in the contract. It is HOA transfer fees. It is 1-year home warranty fees. It's title fees. And title fees generally, they're set by the state of Texas and generally less than 1% of the property. But that's probably the next biggest fee that's on there that can be negotiated. So a lot of times you would see that the seller is paying the title, but in this market, I'm seeing buyers coming in and saying, here's our strong offer, plus we'll pay title, plus there's no home warranty, and plus there's this, or no, we do want the home warranty, but we don't want this, and it becomes a negotiation on everything. So if you're there are strategies on that as well. And so always the strongest price pops out the most, because we did see one home that they actually got 72 offers. And you can imagine that an agent and working on that, do they get overwhelmed? Are they able to put all the details on there? The price is the thing that's going to stick out the most. Now, a good agent's going to be able to go through and say, here's all the little things that are in there as well. And so it looks higher here, but you're actually making some money here, and really net everything out for the seller. So just know that you really should be looking at everything. If your buyer agent is going to change up on any of these fees, on who's paying title or anything else that you can think of on that side, I would detail it because you normally send a PDF. I would detail it in the body of the email so they can see it there and then see it again in the contract. It just needs to be really bolded for the agent to see, so they can really sell that to the seller as well. Number 9, lease-back options. So many times a seller is selling a house, they want to sell a house, close in 30 days or less, but many times they might need a lease-back, meaning after we close, you let me lease back for free, you let me lease back for market rate, or whatever that might be. for 30 days or for 60 days or for 10 days, whatever it might be. That gives them time to actually get out of their house, not feel rushed, have the money in their pockets. And many times that can be a huge, huge benefit, and that will outweigh even a higher offer. And so if the buyer can be flexible, now there's risk to that, of course, and so the buyer needs to beware on what that could be of having a tenant in their property now that they just bought. However, just knowing that that could be a benefit, and if that's something that you're open to, then that could help you very much so win that offer. Make sure you're always asking. The question we always love to ask is, other than price, what's important to the seller? And the number 10 is writing a letter. And so we've, I would say probably 10 to 20% of the time we will have someone write a letter when I'm listing a home. They'll write a letter and they'll attach it to the offer and say, we love your home. This is why we love your home. It's great. And they'll go through everything, and it's a warm fuzzy for the seller, just really telling them how great their home was and what that looks like. And if you're going to do that, like, it's good to appeal to both all sides. And so if you're going to do that, make sure the buyer agent attaches it to the same PDF, not multiple PDFs, but one PDF, so everything is in one package. So when they send that offer, they're going to read the offer and then read the letter. I like the letter to be first and then the offer so they can see it. You also would detail that in the email as well, because you really have to stand out when there's multiple offers. That's a lot of information. I get so passionate about this. I love real estate negotiations. It's all about handling people's emotions, because I've seen buyers walk away from their dream home because they weren't treated properly. I've seen sellers walk away from what they would normally take because they weren't treated properly. And so the real estate agent's job, in my opinion, is to go in, and the way you get the most for your client, whether you're representing the listing side or the buyer side, is to make sure that you're treating everyone fairly, you're showing your side, creating the motivation as needed, sharing the strong points, and allowing everything to go through. It's huge. And so just know there's so much that goes into multiple offers and making sure that you have the best chances of winning during it. And we love going after it too. We always say it doesn't matter. I mean, we are making hours worth of phone calls every day. We're calling on resales, we're calling on new homes, we're calling on off-market properties. And since we're blessed to be one of the larger teams in the area, like, we have a volume of those that are coming in, and we know that's one of our big jobs, and so we're going after it for you. The other thing is, because making sure that you have access to get into the property quickly, because obviously if things are moving fast, you want to make sure that you can jump on that and move on it quickly. And so the way that we settled that with our team, like, we have a team. And so if someone's out of town or someone's sick or something's going on, we cover each other. And so we have a team of all of us, so we can go after it, making sure that you can be one of the first ones in the house as much as we can, as long as we're all on top of everything and moving forward. So just know that is crucial, crucial, crucial. As you can tell, we're aggressive going after it. We've even had some buyers that said, hey, we want to live on this street or that street. And where it was legal, we would actually go door knock and phone call and send postcards and do all that to really draw the sellers out for them. So just know, like, this is the kind of market where your agent needs to be for you and needs to be aggressive for you and have your best interest at heart and willing to work their tail off to make sure that you're taken care of. And this is why I love this kind of market. It gets you going, but it's absolutely amazing. I also want to talk about, if you hear the terminology best and final offers. Agents use it all the time. It probably makes sense to you, but here's what that means is, I got multiple offers on property 123 Main Street. What we're going to do is best and final offers. Today's Friday. Everyone get your offers in Monday by 8 a.m. Best and final offers. If you ever read that online, you'll be able to see that. So everyone's sending in their offers. 8 a.m. Me as the listing agent. 8 a.m. on Monday, I look at all the offers. Me personally, I put them in an Excel spreadsheet. I love Excel, by the way. And I put them in an Excel spreadsheet, and we go through everything, and we figure out what nets the most, what does this look like. It spits it out at the end, and we say, okay, here's the benefits of this one versus that one, and we can go through it all. But that's what best and final offers means. If you have any questions on how to win a multiple offers, as you can tell, we're super passionate about it. The RJF team is here to serve you. If you need anything whatsoever, please let us know.